Hello. Sorry for that. We had some technical difficulties. Thank you for joining us. This is my very first Facebook Live video. I am Rachel Autry from Tri-County CASA in Baxley, Georgia, and I am so excited to be able to share with you about how to be a volunteer. We even have some volunteers that are going to join us in a little bit via comments, and so I'd share just a little comment saying, "Hey, I'm watching." Tri-County CASA has been around for over 20 years and serving children for that time. CASA started back in the late 70s. A juvenile judge, Judge Salcup in Seattle, Washington, was hearing a case, and it was a child, 3 years old, that had been abused. She was at the hospital, and the doctor attending to her said that he had found some injuries that were consistent with child abuse, broken bones that were in different stages of healing in that thing. So when the mother was confronted, she said, "Oh, well, she fell off a swing or a play set." And they knew that wasn't true. And further investigation found that she said, "Well, it was my boyfriend, and he was um, teaching her a lesson." And he got out of hand, but we don't have to worry because he's out of the house and he's not coming back. So when the judge was hearing the case, he said at that point he looked around in the courtroom and he saw the usual players there, the lawyers, CFAC, some other people guarding ad litem. But what frightened him is he didn't see anybody that was there just for that child, to be the voice of that child. And he had a huge decision to make. Does he send this child back to the mother, the only home she's ever known, and possibly become abused or, even lose her life? Or does he send her to a foster home, leaving the only home that she's ever known at the tender age of 3? So these were the questions that he had. After the case, he began thinking. He was talking to some coworkers and he said, "You know what? There's got to be a better way. There has to be something else that we can do." So he talked to somebody and said, "Hey, could you make some calls and see maybe if we can get some people just to join us? Maybe a brown bag lunch next week, something we can kind of throw some ideas around, brainstorm a bit." And so the next week he walked in and there were over 50 people there. So this really touched a nerve with a lot of folks and they wanted to help. And so thus CASA, court appointed special advocate, was born. Now, of course, it started there in Seattle, Washington, traveled through the United States, came down to Georgia CASA, and then Tri-County CASA, which I'm a part of. Our, excuse me, and you have to just bear with me, this is my first time. We have a wonderful group of folks. I've been here almost a year and have enjoyed every single day of it. Again, my name is Rachel Autry, and I am the Advocacy and Recruitment Coordinator. So I help to recruit coordinators and train them and support them once they get here. We have the Executive Director, Pam Mosley Holmes, that has been here over 2 years and is doing a great job, not only in this, being with us, the staff, myself and my coworker, Danny Herndon, who is the program assistant and recruitment coordinator as well for Jeff Davis County. But Pam has been in this community a long time and knows a lot of folks and is great at outreach. And I learn something every day from Miss Pam. So with our trio, sorry, we're getting a little shaky. With our trio, our job is to educate the public on what we do and to recruit volunteers and support the volunteers that we do have. A lot of people ask when I'm out in the community, what does a volunteer look like exactly for CASA? Well, we don't have just one demographic. Our volunteers range in age anywhere from early 20s to early 70s. We have men, women, different ethnicities. We have lots of different careers. People work full time, people work part time. We have homemakers. We have people that are retired, lots of different wisdom and experience that they bring personally and professionally as a CASA. Now, first and foremost, to be a CASA, you have to be at least 21 years of age. I actually have a number in my desk right now who had called earlier last year and she was not quite 21, and so I am to call her next month after her birthday, she said. But you have to be at least 21 years of age. You have to consent and pass a criminal background check because we will be working with children very closely. We want to make sure that anybody that's around our babies, is safe to be so. You will go through 30 hours of in-class training. That is a training that I will teach. We usually meet one day of the week. We get with the volunteers and see which time works better. Sometimes it's the nighttime, sometimes it's the daytime, but that's 30 full hours of instruction. In addition, you have 10 hours of courtroom observation, and that is exactly what it is. You are sitting with us in the courtroom and you are observing juvenile hearings. It is a wonderful, wonderful use of your time. Of course, the very most important thing you have to be a CASA volunteer is a love and a passion for children. You don't have to have any special training to come up here. You don't have to have a college education. You don't have to have a specific education in social work. You just have to have a love for children and the need to want to make a difference in a child's life. Now, once you are trained, you'll be assigned a child. When you're assigned this case, you will be appointed by the judge. You are an agent of the court. This is a volunteer position, but this is a position that once you are sworn in and appointed a child, you will have access to not only to meet the child and the parents and the foster parents, you will have also access to a lot of confidential information, which is why we're pretty choosy in who we decide to make a CASA volunteer. But as long as you do for children and it's something you want to do, will be with you the whole way. If anybody wants to write in any kind of comments, I can answer, but I can talk for a very long time. Um, After the training, well, we have our wonderful volunteers. And so on an average month, that's also the question I get, what kind of commitment am I looking at? Because people want to help and then they kind of start to hear the requirements that you have and they're like, I'm not sure. Well, it's flexible and it's flexible to a point. What we ask of you is that you give at least about 10 hours a month, 10 flexible hours. The flexible part is about when you see your child, the phone calls that you're going to make to talk to DFACS and the other foster parents, and that the things that are inflexible would be things like court hearings. Juvenile court is held on either 1 or 2 days a month, depending on the county that you're in. It could be on a Wednesday, it could be on a Friday. Now, normally at the beginning of a case, hearings are more frequent, maybe once, and then maybe 4 to 6 weeks later, another one, and then 3 to 4 months for reviews. We'll give you as much time as possible because, like I said, we do have full-time workers that are able to make this happen. But we understand that if you are working a job, and even if you aren't working full-time, you have busy lives, and so we try to give you as much notice as possible in order so that you can plan. Going to court with you, you will have your court report. Now, this is a very important document. This is what you're going to give to the judge and to the lawyers that states the research and your objective opinion on the things that you've done and your recommendations for the court. Our juvenile judges here in Wayne, Applin, and Jeff Davis, Tri-County, are wonderful and supportive, and they really do take a lot of weight on what a CASA says because they know that the CASA is there, the court-appointed special advocate, is there for the child, to be the voice of the child. They are there, they are not being paid. This is a pure volunteer position. The judge knows that you've gone to see the child at least once, if we prefer more, during the month. You've spoken with the foster parents. You've spoken to the guardian ad litem. You've spoken to the biological parents, the child, the therapist, school professionals, everybody that is in that child's life, and you have made professional recommendations for what you think is in the best interest of the child. And the judge really does take this into consideration. Since I've been here, one of my main missions, of course, is to train and support the volunteers, but also to recruit more volunteers. I know you're out there. I know there's people that want to do this, and some of the people I've talked to think, well, I don't think I can. Oh no, the first thing, the main, is a passion and a wanting to make a difference in a child's life. If you can do that, and you can read and write effectively, and you can follow directions, come see me. Please come see me. The process, actually, now that we're quarantined, is this is actually a good time to do this. The first thing you'll want to do is to contact me or Pam or Danny. You can go to this Facebook page and leave a message, leave your phone number. You can message me through Facebook, and we can talk about it, talk about some of the questions that you have, and I can tell you about some of the expectations that you will find when you become a CASA volunteer. After that, I can send you an application. You fill the application out. Those also include some short essay questions and a place where you put references, because we do want to talk to people that that know you and know the kind of person that you are. Even though this is a volunteer position, this is a very professional position. Remember, you are an agent of the court. You are sworn in by a judge. You are appointed by a juvenile judge to be a voice for this child. So therefore, the people that we need to get are professional people, loving, caring, that can follow directions. We do expect that you have, of course, a court report when we go to court for your child, but also monthly, I am there to help you and support you, and we need to know about what's going on with your case. And those come in the form of monthly advocacy reports. So at the end of every month, you will input into a computer system who you contacted, for how long, how many miles it took you to go somewhere, and that's such. Oh, we have a question, Miss Michaela. Yes. Oh, this was a young lady that I had a pleasure of working with when I was at the library several years ago, I think going on a decade. And now she is all grown up and she is very interested in becoming a CASA volunteer. So I'm excited about that. I sent her an application. Maybe no. Okay, I sent you some information. So I will send you an application, Miss Michaela, today. So I am excited. Thank you so much for your interest. I enjoy speaking at different clubs. I've been to the Exchange Club in Jessup and the Kiwanis. I would love to speak to churches, organizations. I can do 5 minutes, 45 minutes. I can have visuals or PowerPoints, however, what meets your needs. But I would love to be able to speak to more people about what it is that we do. I am incredibly blessed to be doing what I'm doing, and I know that the Lord has brought me here. I have worked 20 plus years in social services and worked in every type of therapeutic setting that you can think of, and my heart is in the nonprofit organizations. And it's a journey. It is a journey. I know as Miss Pam is sitting there, Pam also writes these incredible grants and gets us these funds to be able to do what it is that we do. And I'm very, very thankful. During this quarantine time, some of us have some time on our hands. And so if you would like to speak to me about what you want to do, or, maybe you're not quite in position to be able to be a CASA volunteer right now, there's some other ways that you can help. We have events, of course, it'll be in the future, for right now that you can help with to get the word out. There are so many volunteers. Right now, we have, I think, 17 current volunteers right now. I would love to double that within the next 6 months. I would love that. If anybody has any questions, like Miss Michaela just posted something, go ahead and post something. I will be here to answer any questions that you have. Let me see some more. Give me just a second here. Just a second. It's interesting as I talk to the different volunteers to see how they fit this into their lives. Like I said, we have people that work full time plus actually, and people that are retired. And this is a flexible volunteer position, and so that you can do your visits, according to your schedule. You'll talk with the foster parents, or the location where the child is at, and make some plans, but it is really flexible, on your time. The only very inflexible things are the court hearings. That can be once every several months, depending on how long your case has been in, but we'll give you as much notice as possible so that you can get the time to get your research and everything together so that you can make a very thorough and informed court report. It is a very prideful position of volunteers. You can tell that they are very proud to do what they do. You will get a nice little CASA badge. Mine says my position, but it will say volunteer. You will not be allowed into the courtroom without it, actually, unless you're with one of us. This is, like I said, you're an agent of the court. You are a professional person. You will be talking to people and seeing and hearing such confidential things that this position, especially since we live in a small town, you probably will not get a child or a case maybe in your county, and that's to protect confidentiality. But the things that you learn are going to be very sensitive indeed. The things that you see, the children that you talk to, these are foster children. They would not be where they are unless they have been abused or neglected. And for that, it's going to be hard sometimes. You're introducing yourself and you're getting a real relationship with these children, but it is going to get to. That's why you have the other volunteers and myself and Pam and Danny to speak with. This is heavy stuff that you're going to see. You're going to be talking to different kinds of people and witnessing and just privileged to a lot of information. And so confidentiality is very key. You are going to have to be able to talk to people, though, although professionally, to be able to handle what's going on. And we understand that just as social workers talk to one another to unburden themselves, please, that's what I am there for. You'll be talking to other volunteers, to get tips and suggestions. Everybody is different. We have such a varied background of people. We have lots of nurses. We have PhDs. We have a lawyer. We have all kinds of folks. Again, you do not have to be a social worker to do this. You don't have to have a background or anything. You don't have to have children to be a court-appointed special advocate. You just have to have a love for children, a passion, and a willingness to be able to see this through. This commitment is, even though it's flexible, 10 or more hours a month, we ask that you stay for the length of the case, and that's anywhere from about 12 to 18 months. There are children that are in foster care for several years. Okay, and this is due to a lot of things. There's a lot of turnover in the Department of Family Children Services. I'm a former DFACS worker. It is a very, very hard job. That's why we work very closely with our DFACS staff. And to do this, you just have to have that passion, the wanting to make a difference. There are children ages newborn to 17 years of age. And of course, to be a volunteer, you accept that you want to help whatever child is most in need, but we will take your preferences into account because some people are more comfortable with babies. Some people really prefer those teenage years, or maybe 8 and 9 year olds, that kind of those tween years. We'll talk to you and see what you're comfortable with. The assigning of a case is always, we're in communication with each other. Anytime something comes up that's a barrier, you give us a call. We are I am available all the time because sometimes, things happen on a Saturday or a Sunday, as flexible as we can be. So you are never going to be alone. You're not just going to be out there flapping. You're going to get a whole bunch of information at first during the training. And it is a lot of stuff. It's a lot of information. The binder is like this thick. And then you'll have done your court observation. And so as you're going through this, I remember towards the end of this last training, the first training that I did, some of the volunteers like, I I just want to do a good job. I don't want to mess up. You're not going to mess up. You're going to be great. You're going to be awesome. We're going to be there with you the whole way. As long as you have that passion for children, you can follow directions, get with me at least once a month, send in your monthly advocacy reports, and have your court reports, which of course we will help you with, then you'll be fine. I would love to see as many people as possible in this next training. We had tentative trainings and then, the world happened, so we've had to put things off and kind of push things. There's no set number for a volunteer class to begin. My first class was 8 individuals, and so that would be great, but if I have 2 or 3 that wanted to start, that's fine too. The process for volunteerism, say you started right now, you said, hey, I want to do this. So you get in contact with us, I will call you, we'll talk, I'll send you an application, you'll get that filled out, references, and then we make a training class, and then you start your background checks. And then after all that, we're talking about several months' time. So, I mean, this is a perfect time to start. Even right now, you can get on after this Facebook Live presentation, go ahead and get online and look up CASA, Court Appointed Special Advocates. They are in almost every single county in Georgia, in almost all the states. They are everywhere. And so just get some information. You probably know a CASA. I bet you do. If you would like me to speak at one of your events, I would love to. I can do a video. Miss Vicki Davis with everybody knows Miss Vicki. She works at Crandall's and she does the morning show. Said that I could send a video, so I was going to make a little more professional video and then send that to her. We're just really trying to get the word out and to educate people. And that's it. I've enjoyed speaking with you so much. I hope you can see that I have a passion for children and wanting to help people. Being a volunteer is very rewarding. It's fun. We've got some really fun people, and we try to get together as much as we can, but you will be supported throughout this. You will never just be out there flapping. We will be there or another volunteer. I've only been doing this for about a year. We have volunteers that have been doing this for a decade and anywhere in between. So we have the support there. We just need you. So I thank you so much for your time. If you have any questions, leave a comment, get in touch with myself or Miss Pam Mosley Holmes or Danny Herndon. You can find us and give us a call, give us a text, message me, leave a comment, and I hope to see you. Thank you so much. Bye bye.